right, you guys, it's Sam coming to you from Starkey Farmstead. Do I have a video that's going to knock your socks off? Actually, I have a couple. So you're going to need to sit down, get a cup of coffee, tell everybody to leave you alone for the next 15 minutes because this, you guys. Okay, first thing I want to point out, they did not lose CB ability, the police. There is no excuse for the cop at the front of the road sending people back towards the fire and the cops by the fire end sending people back towards the other roadblock. All right, so no matter what they say ever, in this video, you're going to hear them admit they did not lose the ability to communicate to each other. So check, it's murder. All right, it's murder. Keep watching the video. When you're through with the updated video of how incompetent the mayor is, check, he needs to leave. Hopefully people in Maui will recall this idiot. What you're gonna see is a lady giving a talk about the UN and about the sustainable green new deals and stuff that started back in the 90s, okay? And in 2000. The last clip is going to be our amazing president embarrassing us again at the United Nations Summit, which I want to point out, Governor Green took time to go to. Thanks for leaving your island that basically lost, all these lives. Thanks for leaving your people to go talk to your handlers about all the millions of dollars they pumped into your city, because now he can have his way. Here's my thing about Green. Met a lot of people that actually like the man. They know him personal. Do I think he intentionally signed on for people to burn his constituents alive? No, I don't. But I think once he signed his name to that dotted line, he's too far in. If you look at him right now, he looks terrible, and he should, because what he's done is basically burned out an entire city so that he could get this new deal, this new city, this smart city brought in. Maui, my heart breaks for you guys because you've got some dirty politicians, and I thought Louisiana had a history of dirty politicians, but wow. And another thing, just to bring this up, you guys remember all that COVID nonsense tracking on your phone? Why can't they find the people that are missing with their little COVID data? I'm just saying. God bless you guys. Take a deep breath, sit down with your cup of coffee or a Coke, or for the ones of you that drink wine, this might be the time to bust open that bottle. I'm a Christian, and no, I don't drink, but I don't judge other people who have a glass of wine sitting in the privacy of their home, and neither should you, okay? So let's get that out there, all right? Each to their own. It's not against the law. They're not an alcoholic and they don't have a problem. Let's not judge anybody, because you might, honestly, this is heartbreaking to see the ineptness coming out, you guys. This was murder. No matter which way you do it, even accidental, it's still murder.
Live from West Maui. And Jeremy, you have more on those unanswered questions that remain 7 weeks later.
We have asked who was responsible for issuing an emergency evacuation order that would usher the public out of Lahaina town before fire overtook Front Street. Those emergency powers were used before the morning fire was contained on August 8th, but no public official has confirmed if those powers were used in the afternoon. Take a look. Hawaii Revised Statute 127A13B4 reads, in the event of a local state of emergency declared by the mayor may direct and control the mandatory evacuation of civilian population. In other words, it's the mayor who makes the call.
That's right. I'm not sure who was in charge. I think Herman Andaya was still in charge. He just wasn't present. He was in contact with his team, I guess by phone.
In those 4 August press conferences, nobody from the county ever stepped forward to say who was responsible for that communication failure that trapped people in Lahaina town. In the 4 August press conferences, county officials would not detail communication failures in the afternoon of August 8th. What kind of communication in the key hours of 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. was ongoing between command and control of police and fire, that being whoever was in your stead at that time?
So we share the same dispatch center, both police and fire here. So all of our information goes to the same location so that it can be quickly sent out to the other organization.
But was that information sent out between 3 and 5:30 p.m. on August 8th? At the previous press conference, I asked what time did police and fire convene in the Emergency Operations Center on the ground floor of the county building.
I can't talk about the EOC on some of that. I'm just going to talk about police ops, if you don't mind. Police and fire communicate. They communicate very well together. We did not close or forbid people from getting out of Lahaina. If there is a down power line, we don't want that was live. We want to make sure that you didn't go over a downed live power line.
But documentation of at least a half dozen roadblocks indicate police were unaware of Hawaiian Electric's claim that power lines were de-energized by morning, or of an evacuation order, which the mayor claimed was given.
Yes, mandatory evacuations did take place on the west side, certainly for Lahaina.
But could not answer the follow-up.
But when was the afternoon? The second evacuation order?
I don't know what time that was.
Well, thank you all for your time.
But you gave it. So we have 100. But you gave it?
The county Facebook only posts at 10:07 p.m. that evacuation orders were in effect as of 9:45 at night. In fact, elected officials have constantly referred to emergency operations for Lahaina happening at night.
The Emergency Operations Center was in full activation that night.
Our radios did not fail, and so we had constant radio communication that night.
You heard it. I know you did. Rewind it. Hear him say it one more time. He's talking about the night, but it does not matter. They didn't lose it that night. They didn't lose it that day.
But this was an afternoon fire. The fire started at 3 p.m.
Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Malka.
Evacuees fled to the water by 5:33. Emergency operations did occur at night, as seen in this video of Wahikuli evacuations at 9:22 p.m., hours after Front Street burned. Mayor Richard Bisson and the county Facebook page both announced at 5:20 p.m. on August 8th, quote, access in and out of Lahaina is now possible via Hokiokio Place, indicating that as of 5:20 p.m., traffic was still incoming to Lahaina. Lanes had not been contraflowed to support an emergency evacuation. Reporting from Lahaina, Jeremy Lee.
By 179 nations, including the United States, in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, at the Earth Summit, the United Nations Earth Summit, George H.W. Bush committed the United States to implementing sustainable development, and it has been supported by every president ever since. It's a global plan, but it's implemented locally. Now, you know that just the day before yesterday was the end of the 20th anniversary of the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit. They had it again in Rio, and of course you're seeing that if you read the papers, they'll say it was a total failure, that they didn't get what they wanted. This is really not true. This has been a very successful program. It is global, but it's implemented locally, and you will see it locally. It is not called Agenda 21, and that's how when you go, when you're questioning your staff or your planners or your regional planning commission, and they say, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of Agenda 21. Or lately what we're hearing is, oh, that Agenda 21. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. That's that dusty old 20-year-old plan that has no teeth, it's non-binding, and it's nothing to worry about. That is a lie. This plan is implemented in the United States. It is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. The agenda for the 21st century is a recipe for destruction.
Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the United States of America.
President Biden came to the United Nations to urge world leaders to unite to face the crises of climate change and global conflict, using his speech before the General Assembly to pose a question.
I ask you this: if we abandon the core principles of the United States to appease an aggressor, can any member state in this body feel confident that they are protected?
Mr. Biden insisted that Russia's invasion of Ukraine poses a threat to all nations. World leaders, he said, must send a message to Russia.
Russia alone bears responsibility for this war. Russia alone has the power to end this war immediately. And it's Russia alone that stands in the way of peace, because Russia's price for peace is Ukraine's capitulation, Ukraine's territory, and Ukraine's children.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was in the audience, but Russian leader Vladimir Putin was not. One of several world leaders to skip this year's General Assembly, along with the leaders of China, France, and the United Kingdom, who sent diplomats instead. Outside the United Nations, demonstrators took to the streets by the thousands, many to protest human rights abuses by the government of Iran.